New Year, same
Oh,
song.
fuck. I don't want to get copyrighted again.
New Year, same
Ladies
song.
and gentlemen, welcome here to the Back Yourself Podcast. I am your host, Hussein, ready to preview the real 6 games of round one. Not none of that Vegas garbage that shouldn't even count in your record on tipping wise. Good to see you, my brother. Chris, also from the Back Yourself Podcast. Good to have you here, mate.
Thank
I'm
you.
very excited to break down these 6 fantastic games of rugby league, and I hope you're as excited as I
All
am. mate.
6
How
are
you feeling?
fantastic.
All 6, well, 5 of them. There's Thursday night footy, which I could go with.
No,
but-
and Sunday, so 4.
No, I'm keen for Sunday.
All right, well, that makes one of us.
I've been told Volkman is the next Andrew Johns. But you wouldn't know that looking at the
I
spread.
wouldn't know.
Yeah, look, tipping comp-wise, those of you in our tipping comp that started 2-0, well done. Very good tips taking the Raiders and the ever-so-reliable Penrith Panthers. And those of you that went 0-2, thank you for following us into battle and getting your 2 tips wrong. But that's all right. Premierships are not won in March, and neither are tipping comps. So there is about 250 left of these bad boys before a winner is crowned. Christopher, was there anything out of lineups that caught your attention just before I start flogging it, mate?
Well, obviously Moses not being there, but you did call on the podcast, so you got to make sure you tune into the Back Yourself Podcast.
This is how plugged in we are that I was genuinely the only one in Australia that was like, you know what, foot soreness on a surgically operated foot that you missed 3 months on last year, that's pretty concerning to me.
Well, the bookies
And
didn't see it. Only we saw
the
it.
bookies were asleep, but the Back Yourself Premium members are sleeping good tonight on -9.5.
That
Shout
it?
out to the boys on -9. Now, Para will probably go and lose by 8 just to piss me off. Starting with our first Thursday night fixture of the
What a
game.
game.
Shout out to you, Barnsey. Shout out to you, J-Maz. The mighty Sydney Roosters are opening at $3.15 head-to-head against the Premiership heavyweight favourites, the Brisbane Broncos, in this one. A spread of 7.5, tickling, getting ever so close to 8.5.
It
Will
will
it
be,
get
yeah.
there? I'm betting it will. And I'll tell you exactly why. The Roosters, Captain Courageous James Tedesco at fullback. Daniel Tupou, that weird union guy, Nawakane Tawasi. Robert Tola. Yeah, who the fuck is that guy? Dominic Young, Sandon Smith, Chad Townsend. I will repeat, for those of you at home, Chad Townsend is a Rooster. Lindsay Collins, Connor Watson, Fahu White, Angus Crichton, a.k.a. New South Wales royalty, a.k.a. the best player in New South Wales history. Victor Radley still at back row, which truly makes me laugh. And Nat Butcher at lock for no reason. Zach Docker-Clay, Siwa Wong, Blake Steep, and Celesi Feketi on the bench for the Roosters in this one. Notable absentee, Spencer Leniu, because he can just literally never run out there against the Broncos. Moving on to
Without
the Broncos.
Ezra Mann there.
Conveniently, also missing a key player. Reece Walsh at fullback, Selwyn Cobbo, Dean Mariner, Gemat Shibasaki, and Jesse Arthurs are your backs. Ben Hunt, Adam Reynolds. Wow, what a half pairing. An average age of 37 between the two of them. Pat Carrigan, Corey Pakes, Payne Haas, Jack Krzyzewski, Jordan Ricky, Kobe Hetherington, Billy Walters. Wow, he's still in the 17 after his daddy left.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Corey Jensen, Xavier Willison, my personal favourite Bronco, and Brendan Piacora.
Well, also because
round out the bench.
Mozart's out. So.
Mozart is out, and as we all know, Ezra Mam is out because he also cannot play the Roosters while Spencer Leniu is perceived to be playing for them. So, off face value, Chris, talk to me. How do you see the 17s matching up? The spread of 7, 8, $3.20 for the Chooks. Is there any enticement? As I said previously, the Back Yourself Podcast premium members are on -1.5 on the Broncos. So they don't need to be sweating some -7, -8 bullshit because we have sent that out in advance in anticipation of the Roosters. 1, missing key players, and 2, just missing the Rooster mystique that they've had for probably the last 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, of course. Look, Roosters fans, if you were here from last year, you're going to tune in and probably hear the same crap that I've heard the year in, year out. But this is the true test for Robinson, in my opinion. This team is nowhere near as talented as any other team. You could argue the last 3 years he's probably had the most talented team outside of that Penrith team, I would say, that went to the grand final and beat Para. He's probably had the most talented team and, never made a grand final. But regardless, this year is the true test without anyone. In terms of opening at Pick'em, first of all, I don't know what the bookies were doing. Second of all, I don't know what the bookies are doing. Should it at least opened at like 3.5? I would say. Like obviously with everything happening, Roosters during preseason, Broncos during preseason, two polar opposites, and then Spencer Liniu being out as well. You could have argued that this should be like it should have opened at 3, and now it's 7, and I'm still saying, is that it?
Wow. Okay.
Broncos team is on a heater at the moment. I think more than likely this Broncos team wants to go out and make a statement early in the season than towards the end. That's why I'm high on them. I'm going to stay high on them through the early parts of the season because I think Madge has gone there to make a statement that this Broncos team is fit and ready to go. It starts by being this Roosters team. This Roosters team should not be in the fight with this Brisbane team at all. And that's why the spread is 7, 8, 9. I think if once it gets to 10, it's territory taking Roosters. But other than that, I'm sticking Broncos all the way. I just think this team is absolutely on fire. And Roosters, often bad starters, doesn't get any worse than the way they started in some of those trials. I think it just gets worse for them and they start really poorly.
Okay. This is what infuriates me slightly in terms of round 1 betting because we're straight, you know. We had Roosters when we saw it picking, we were like, wow, what the hell is everyone doing? Now the Broncos, we sent out -1.5. I'm happy, but for all you other punters out there that are following this podcast, and now you're betting on a fresh slate of round 1 as constructed now, and you're seeing 7.5. It really is a difficult decision in my opinion because a lot of punting is buying high and selling low on these teams, and it's up to your job as a punter to decide when is the low point and when is the high point. And for a spread to move almost 8 points without a single like regular season fixture being played is truly alarming.
Yeah, we'll get to the
Now,
other one.
We're acknowledging that look, he was probably wrong at 1.5, and Brisbane. All right, let's analyze their preseason. They played a Titans team that literally walked out there and mailed it in from 10 minutes onwards.
Yeah, fair enough.
And round 2, again, what I said the other week was they on the scoreboard looked like they dismantled Dogs, and they did, but they had 12 points essentially donated to them, and they kind of, like, as for as much possession they had, Dogs kind of hung in there and stuck in the fight for longer than probably a lot of other bums would have. And now the conversation is kind of turned with Brisbane, I feel like, based on these last 2 preseason games of, oh yeah, well, they're the only cunts that can beat Penrith. And they're have you seen their preseason? They're 100%.
Yeah.
Pencil them in for the top 4 now and yada, yada, yada. And what's the conversation on the other end? This Roosters team, I mean, to go out there and get raped by Fletcher Sharps, the Lead Knights, that's something new. So, gun to my head, I would take the Roosters team.
No, I'm good.
And I wouldn't be thrilled. I wouldn't be excited watching it. It would be painful knowing that as soon as Broncos get in the 10, it's going to be Walsh and Cobbo and Reynolds and Hunt, and they're going to be coming at the Roosters. And what do the Roosters have to counter back? A couple good forwards and James at this point, and not much else. But at the end of the day, you're betting numbers, and you can't get too emotional with the teams. And the numbers, to me, suggest that, like I said, shout out to Barnesy and James. I got to take Roosters at almost $3.20 in Sydney. Like, what the fuck would this be at Suncorp? Roosters going to go out there with 13.5 in round 1.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get rich laying almost 18.5 in round 1. But there is
There's a scenario you would.
There is a certain caveat.
I'm going to counter your argument because I just think Roosters have this mystique that they can cover these lines. I don't think in any scenario.
I'm very glad you're bringing this up.
I just don't think they're like in this scenario. Right. How many times have they been this many underdogs and actually covered it? 90% of the time they lose.
Essentially, Roosters are the dirt of the NRL, and they have been for the past 3 seasons, right? And you're perceiving, and I'm also agreeing with you, that Broncos are top 3 team, top 4 team. Yeah. And the Roosters' record against the spread against these top 3-4 teams has been absolutely pitiful. Correct. Not awful, pitiful. These can't even beat Sharks, let alone cover like against Penrith and Melbourne. Yeah. So if Broncos are that caliber of team, then to be honest, Roosters are going to get absolutely smashed in this game. But it's against everything I've ever learned about punting that, you know what? Take the team that won both their preseason games by 50 against the team that lost both their preseason games by 50, you know? And Robbo, they've been coming at you with pitchforks for about 2 years saying that Robbo is one of the greatest coaches in the history of sport.
We'll see.
And he can make fucking miracles happen with no one. He's just conveniently had Cronk and Sonny Bill Williams and all these players. So, okay, Robbo, if you're that much of a genius, you can cover 8.5 in round 1. You can get a response out of your troops. You still have James Tedesco. You still have Lindsay Collins. You still have Victor Radley. You still have Angus Crichton. You're not running out there with complete dirt. And I'm not expecting you pricks to go and win. But can I get a competitive game where you lose by 4 or 6? I would expect that from them.
Yeah, I don't. Look, I think that this is like a 12th team versus 3rd in the middle of the year, and it's just round 1. And if that was to happen in round 12, it would be like 7.5 on the like. It
would be 14.5.
Okay,
honestly,
but in saying that, I also think, and what undid the Warriors, which we didn't really like go too much into this in the preview.
There's nothing to say about these.
No, it's just the Broncos' speed. Like, off the mark, bro, who's Roosters' fastest sprinter right now?
Connor Watson.
Literally. Can you imagine them guarding Cobbo, Walsh, Mariner, who's lightning?
Yeah, legit, yeah.
Like, bro, they're just going to get around defenders like that. And the way Walsh, plays in that first, 10 meters when he first gets the ball, he's literally lightning in a bottle. So, look, I think Walsh is going to make a statement. He's my tip for Dally M. I think they're going to absolutely annihilate them.
So you would take -7?
I would no. I'd value bet. Take 13 plus. If you haven't got, look, in my opinion, if you haven't already got a ticket on 1.5 head to head, something like that, take 13 plus. Take the extra odds. Literally, if they're gonna win by 10, then just be like, all right, you know what, this game we lost. Just flog it. Because if Roosters are gonna give up, you're gonna see it firsthand on national TV.
I don't think they're gonna give up.
I think wow. I don't even think it's their choice. I think they're just gonna give up.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Moving on.
Now it gets good.
Now this is where the slate starts getting gone.
Well, the first game is incredibly
I want to give a shout out to Harry because he's a die-hard Tigers fan.
And shout out to Charlie, you know.
And he's one of the few that have agreed with me that there's reason to be optimistic about this team in 2025, potentially making the 8. What about this game? I'm pissed off at them for what they've done to me already.
All right, continue. Say the lineup.
So we are running out the Tigers.
No.
The mighty Tigers at Campbelltown Stadium, the fortress.
I'll get to that later.
All right. Heath Mason at fullback. Fuck's sake. Taruva, Dewey, Fa'atape, Skelton.
Whoa.
Galvin and Luai.
Why is Fa'atape playing?
Because Justin Olam, they're going to
No, but where's Toa?
Don't worry about Toa.
He's better than Fa'atape.
No, I like Fa'atape. Galvin and Luai. Terrell May.
Fantastic.
Talon De Silva.
Yeah, great.
Fanua Pole. Samuel Fainu. Alex Seyfarth. Alex Twal. Tristan Hope.
Who?
Which is ironic because the more I'm reading these players, the more I'm losing hope. Royce Hunt, Jack Bird, and Sione Fainu.
The end is hilarious.
Fuck's sake, Tigers.
Got it nice.
Stupid. Well, from bad to worse. Kalen Ponga, James Schiller, Jesus. Gagai, Best, Marju, Fletcher Sharp of War, Jack Cocker.
Interesting.
Jacob Saifidi, Phoenix Crossland, Leonardo Thompson, Dylan Lucas, Kai Pierce-Paul, Tyson Frizzell, Jaden Brayley, Jack Hetherington, Brodie Jones, and Matty Croker. So right off the bat, if you don't mind me going first.
Go ahead.
I'm really pissed off that Bull and Coruscant are not playing in this game. Like, I'm genuinely infuriated.
Coruscant, fair enough.
Because I've been banging the drum for 6 months of this spine, and now 2 out of the 4 players are dicks, in my perspective. De Silva, I trust him as far as I can throw him. And Heath is okay. He's serviceable, but serviceable is not good enough. Us Tigers fans, we need to fucking win.
Okay.
Right? On the other side of things, look, you pretty much know what you're going to get from Knights.
Are you?
Still a few question marks on this Sharp and Cogger partnership. Depends how much you want to buy into them putting 7 million points up against the Roosters. I don't doubt that it's going to be difficult guarding them, particularly with Fa'atape and Seyfarth next to each other. I wouldn't trust them guarding a fucking a security door at one of the Sydney clubs, let alone guarding fucking Bradman Best, Kalen Ponga, and Fletcher Sharp, Dylan Lucas, and Marju. But that's what we're left with as Tigers fans. 2.5 plus for the
It's 3
Tigers.
actually. It's getting
Plus
to 4.
3.5, close to 4, about $2.25
Exactly.
on the money line. We've seen a flip favourite in this one where Tigers initially opened at about 170 and now they've drifted all the way to 225 based on no Coruscant, no Buller, and the Knights' big win in the Roosters game in the preseason game. So, Chris, 2.5, is it the right side?
Which side? Which one?
Plus 2.5.
Oh yeah. There's no argument from me.
There should be.
Nah. And like later, obviously for the podcast itself, you'll see on many of our social, we don't really post any clips from the podcast, and we're not going to, but I'll post this individually because I have to sound the alarm for this game. This is my upset alert. My mighty West Tigers are going to go and win at the fortress of Campbeltown. And this is why. Why are people scared of Knights? It's Knights at the end of the day. Listen, this team, when they beat Tigers the last time 2 years ago, they didn't have Kalen. He went and got concussed and, they manufactured a victory. Now that you're expecting them to win, they're going to go fuck it up. So, on that premises, I'm going to take the Tigers. And look, all the people staring down the nah, bro, they don't have Buller, they don't have Coruscant. Listen, first of all, last year they were favourite against Titans. Correct me if I'm wrong. The year before they were favourite at home to Knights. And I guarantee you, everyone that's sitting there and being like, nah, took them in those 2 games. And now that they're underdogs to Knights, now you're scared of them. Incredible. So, my analysis is simply, if you don't take Tigers in this case, you're losing that opportunity that you're not going to get for the rest of the year. You already can see next week's lines on some bookies already. It's only 4.5 at Bank West. Is that it? This Para team, like, if Moses and Brown both are there, are much better than 4.5. So they've already put respect on the Tigers. The only reason they don't have respect this week is because they don't have 2 players of their spine. And next week they're assuming they'll be back. So, in my opinion, you're going to get a rare opportunity to show this Tigers team's culture's changed. Luai is still there. The whole culture of the team is there. That's the whole point. That's why we've bought into them. Not because, Buller could give us an extra try assist or Coruscant could give us a good pass from dummy half. We just want them to show that they can actually win a game. And they're going to do that in week 1 and go 1-0. I'm not scared of Knights.
Okay. I am 95% analysis, 5% emotion. And I would say you're the opposite.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? But I'm going to use one of my wildcard emotional takes to start the season. Look, if you want to win money, you probably should take Knights. They're more of a well-oiled machine, if you want to call them that.
Exactly.
In terms of their 1-17, you know where their attacking threat is going to come. You know that Tigers are really not built to stop that. And the Tigers forward pack looks absolutely horrible. And the Knights, they have enough punch through the middle that they can get a roll on these losers and actually execute out wide. Like I said, Seyfarth and Faatape next to each other. That has disaster written all over it with Bradman and Kalen coming out the back of shape. And I think a lot of pressure falls into the Tigers playmakers. And there's only 2 of them because, like I said, the other 2 aren't freaking there. So it's a lot to ask of Luai to take this degenerate forward pack against a team that's probably better than them as currently constructed in round 1 and be like, Luai, go and carry us to a win. It would be a great narrative if he does, but just for the sake of Tigers coming out and really putting pressure on themselves to make a statement at Campbeltown, and you're getting points with them in a round 1 fixture, which conveniently every other year they've been hyped and been favourites in round 1 and fucked it up. This year, they actually have some of the horses to back up their favouritism. So I will take Tigers plus 3.5 purely off the fact that, come on, boys, it can't be the same story with you losers year after year after year, regardless of who you sign. They could fucking lose, get the spoon this year, sign Cleary next year. Everyone will be like, they're good now. And they'll even fuck that up if they can't fix it with Luai and all these boys. But I feel 10 times better with Coruscant at pick and price. I would. Because Coruscant covers up so much of their deficiencies and degenerate tendencies, even
I think
in the middle of the
you're
park.
forgetting how good De Silva is.
And I think he's a shit player, to be honest with you. And these forwards are... I saw in the trials, and I want to call it out, that they have lazy tendencies. When the going gets tough, I'm not sure I trust Terrell May, Seyfarth, Paul,
You're actually going into my
Wow.
point. You're trusting Knights.
Because I know Knights suck, but I know what I'm going to get out of these guys.
Yeah, no, you don't.
I do.
That's the
Tigers, there's variance there, you know? Maybe Galvin and Luai will go get 8 try assists between them and they'll put on 30 points and they'll set the grass will be on fire at Campbeltown. But like I said, they're going to probably have to get 5 try assists between them because on the other end, I know Knights would score against these losers.
Oh, yeah, Knights will score, but I don't know if I'm getting that commitment. And look, Knights...
I know that you are. They'll try for Adam O'Brien.
No, but Knights think they're gangsters now.
Yeah, that's one narrative where, like I said, if you wanted to take Knights, you wanted to take this at a pick 'em before they went and put 50 on Roosters. And now they think they can score again.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah,
so that's where I'm like, okay, kind of copy-paste same logic of, look, if you're giving me Knights at a pick 'em, I'd probably take it, right? But Tigers... Their lineup looks horrible, and everyone now thinks Knights are gods. When literally 10 days ago, everyone was like, Knights are playing Fletcher Sharp and Cogger in the halves. Adam O'Brien's a basket case, but now
he's a genius.
Spencer Lenny, you get Sinbin, and they scored 10 tries, and now he's a genius. So
that's what I'm saying.
I have to see it before I can believe it. But like I said, I'm not thrilled about being on Tigers either.
Come on, Tigers.
I know they're a bunch of inbreds.
Show us what you're made of, boys.
It would be a very good morale boost
if they win.
In terms of internally within the club of like, holy fuck, like we actually went out there and got a win to start the year. When's the last time that's happened with these guys?
Well, no.
I don't know. I'll let one of you guys tell me in the comments.
And the other 2 games were at Leichhardt. This is the first time at the real Fortress.
Yes, so come on, Tigers, don't let me down. Otherwise, I will nuke you guys come the review. Moving on to the fixture of the round at Combank Stadium.
No, I don't think it's a fixture. It's the next one. But
the Dolphins and Rabbitohs, who shout out to everyone in Redcliffe and in Queensland who are battling with these hurricanes. It sounds really fucked. I was telling like one of the boys that I've never seen an NRL fixture relocated in terms of the like venue they're playing due to like severe weather things. And there's been a bit of a issue in this game in terms of we've sent out Dolphins at $2.50 head to head months ago when Latrell and Cam Murray got injured. Now we're thinking, we're sitting on a like beautiful ticket. It's down to $1.50. Unfortunately, those bets are now void because of the location change and the fact that they're not even playing in the same state anymore. So we will send
something else, so don't worry about it.
So don't worry, we will be sending something else out. But now we have a completely different fixture essentially to bet on because, hilariously, at the time of this being void, the total was 36.5.
Yeah.
So the books had already accounted for these guys are going to play literally in the tsunami.
Yeah.
And now that it's been re-released, this is actually 44.5. So you're seeing 8 points different in the total and not that much different in the point spread because obviously now Souths are territorially favoured.
It didn't really move the points, but I thought it was going to move a lot more.
Exactly my point. So we're going from, this is the thing, right? It was meant to be played at Suncorp, not Redcliffe, and now it's being played at Combank, not ANZ. So it's kind of like Dolphins had half a home field, and now Souths have half a home field. Is kind of how I interpret it.
We're gonna get,
which equates to like 2 points.
I mean, are they going to get even a good crowd for this when it's a Friday night fixture? I reckon they might get a good crowd for this
because the Souths fans have hope.
Yeah.
We'll see about that. Anyway, the Dolphins lineup featuring Tristan Wolfe at coach as of the first time in the Dolphins history.
On this team.
Hammer time, Asako, Avarilla, Farnworth, Junior Tupou, Cody Nikarima and Katoa on the halves, Daniel Saifidi and Felice Kafusi in the front row, Marshall King at hooker, Fini Fuiaki, Max Plath and Tom Gilbert, Kurt Donahue, Connolly Lamelu, Mark Nichols and Ray Stone on the bench.
Sorry, wow. But anyway.
Sounds pretty good so far. And onto the south side, which I believe they have essentially been perceived as dirt after the Latrell and Murray injuries and the horrible, horrible first 30 minutes against Dragons. I mean, Jesus Christ, boys. But they are running out. Jai Gray, Isaiah Tass, Jack Wyden, Campbell Graham. Welcome back, Campbell Graham. Tyron Munro, Cody Water, Jamie Humphreys. The next coming of Andrew Johns, I've been told. Shout out to you, Matt. Sean Kepi, Peter Mamazoulis, Davi Moali, Kaloa Matangi, Jai Arrow, and Hubner. Jaden Sullivan, come on, Wayne, wake up. Saliva Haivili, Talis Duncan, and Tavita Totola. Welcome back. We've also missed you. Any comments? I guess is where I would start with you. I'd miss Souths, bro.
It's the 8 to 17 that's like It's not even close. It's not even close between Dolphins.
I challenge anyone in rugby league circles to find me 3 players in sequence worse than Kepi, Peter, and Wiley. That's dirt.
Yeah,
Fuck
like
me, boys.
to start your pack with that. And
Yeah,
who's their best player in their pack? Is it Jai Arrow?
Koloamatangi by
default. Who's going to play
That's
now?
pretty bad, yeah.
Like-
I'm telling you, once you take Cameron out of that pack, it looks horrible.
So, look, do I wish this was in Redcliffe? Yes. Do I think Dolphins will still make a statement anyway? Yeah, I think they will. Look, you don't change. Last year, Dolphins faded towards the end. The year before, they faded towards the end. So, why can I sit here and go, all right, South is the right side, and be like, the team that is already fading going into the trials to go against a team that typically starts really, really well. And this Dolphins team, on paper, I mean, the fact that Tom Gilbert's back is like such a big plus. And Plath was very good last year. And the fact he has to go on an edge to be like, get out of the way, bro. Gilbert's here. They've given him the captaincy. Like,
I have a theory. I think they'll swap him.
They might. I think
they'll
maybe
swap
they'll swap him in the game to give him some rest.
Maybe.
But you're talking about two, like the way we're thinking it, you got to add in the fact that they're both going to play probably 80 as well. So that means the rotation through the forwards is going to be something like we haven't seen before. And it's literally just change the front rowers and, all right, we have extra subs, so they're just going to bring on fresh players. So, like, that, and South, like, their pack isn't any good. So, like, you're already attacking, like, their weakness. But you got Wayne, right? I think that a lot of this line attributes to Wayne. I think if you look at just the teams themselves, this is 6.5 territory.
In Sydney?
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
I think this South team, 1 to 7, sure. You can have it if you want. But you could say even that is a toss of a coin because it's not like they don't have scrubs in the back line for Dolphins. Neither do they have in the halves.
I'd probably even take the Dolphins 1 to 7.
And the forwards, like, bro, anyone that's saying anything about this South pack is something like I haven't heard before. Like, it is truly the worst of the week, for sure. I don't think there's a worse pack in this round
Their
one.
back row is okay, but everything else is horrible.
Look,
There's the 2 front rows, Peter and Hubner.
and through the middle of the park, like, if there's someone that is completely underrated in the sport, is Marshall King. He is electric.
With hammer time behind him.
It's like the worst matchup for South. So I just think, like, even at 2.5, unfortunately our tickets have gone, and I actually think that the 44, depending on the weather here, because in Sydney I think it's going to rain on Friday as well. But if it was clear sun, not sun, like a good night, no weather, 44, is that it? I think these two teams are going to run up the scoreboard. It's not like South can defend anyway. So,
Well,
if I had to take a spread, I would take Dolphins -2.5.
I'll agree with you.
I
I
just
feel
don't
like
think
in
it's
Sydney
South's
this
team.
should be 4. I think this is like Souths are accurately priced in my opinion as dirt because like they've showed us that they're dirt so far. And under look ahead lines, as you mentioned, Chris, some books are out with the spreads for next week. And Dragons are 6.5 at Dragon. Sorry, Souths are 6.5 at Dragons, which I've officially seen everything in this world. The planet, the Dragons are laying 6 to anyone. But you're going to lay 6.5 to Dragons, and then you're only going to lay 2 to Dolphins. I mean, me and you would sit here and be like, Dolphins are better than Dragons, right?
Agreed.
So, like you mentioned, Chris, in the preseason preview, that Dolphins are like joint with the other 5 losers to be wooden spoon favorites or near, like close to that, depending on where you look.
Well, apparently they are wooden spoon favourites according to this spread.
So essentially, like, we're just getting from what me and you perceive of both of these teams. Souths, all right, they're priced to be shit, and they are shit. Dolphins are priced to also be shit, but we think they're good. So it was value at 4.5 in Suncorp, and now that it's 2.5, we think it's still value. And I would probably lay anything up until 5.5 for Dolphins. And for that reason, look, will Souths come out and give effort and do their best for Wayne? And maybe you get some magic out of Cody Walker and Wyden on the left edge, and Koloamatangi's there. And yeah, sure, they have some players on the park that are not horrible. But when push comes to shove, do I trust their discipline and their rotation of players in the middle of the park against Nikorima, Hammer Time, Marshall King, forwards that have a very good motor on them? You know, Daniel Saifiti's played Origin. Gilbert's played Origin. Finifuiaki is an up-and-coming back rower that looks very good to me. Felice Kafusi's been a staple of the Queensland team and the Melbourne Premiership winning sides for a very long time. So I put all my trust and my faith in this Dolphins team that they can come out with at least a 4-point win and put Souths to the sword. And I think it will get late very early for South Sydney in terms of the start of their season. Will it come to fruition in round one where they go and roll over? Probably not.
No.
But I think they're just missing the troops in the middle of the park.
Well, you're laying 2, right? That's the, and is this the best iteration you could have of Dolphins? And you're saying to me that they're only 4 points better than this South team.
They're only really missing Bostock.
Yeah. So, and Bostock is conveniently replaced by Tigers Junior, who looked great in the Tigers games he played Junior Tupou. So, I mean, there's really no loss there. And I like to bring back the speed. I mean, this speed on the edges is something new with this team. I mean, Farnworth and Hammer Time alone are just so much quicker than this whole team combined. And I can't imagine, I don't know, someone like Campbell Graham, how quick is he really going to be coming off his injury? Wyden is 150 years old. Munro is lightning.
Yeah. And so is their fullback.
Oh, they're beep.
Yeah.
Who's playing the other week?
Tass.
Yeah, he's not lightning. But he's serviceable. So, look, 1 to 7, I think it's all there. But, if you're going to lose the forwards the way I think they're going to lose the forwards, it's not going to matter.
And I'll say one thing before we move on to the next game. That signing of Dodd already looks like a disaster.
Well,
they've said, you know what? We're paying this guy X amount. Wayne's been like, you know what? I don't give a fuck how much we're paying him. We're just going to run our Humphreys.
Well, if he's the next coming. No, Dodd's injured. Suspended.
Okay.
He's suspended week 1. But if this kid ends up being good, which is in a situation that you can play okay, Dolphins aren't a big scary unit, unlike some teams who are playing a rookie going into a particular location, which I wouldn't wish anyone to go there. But anyway, we'll get to them soon. But I think in this situation, look, if I'm getting a full strength Dolphins only laying 2 points, I don't care if they're playing on Mars. It's South.
Yeah, it's South.
Come on. If Latrell and Murray played, the Dolphins would be underdogs.
Yeah.
Severe.
But then I would be like, oh, fuck.
They would be 6-point underdogs.
They were 4.5. Yeah.
So they would be 6.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I would take Dolphins.
Yeah.
Come on.
Bro, come on.
I would put them under duress, to be honest. But
you got another one in your mind?
You can't even be under duress as South. So I'll move on.
I already know which one's under duress.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're on to the game of the round, in my opinion.
All right.
Shout out
do you
to
want to
everyone.
give him a shout out?
Shout out to both Zarafrost brothers. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Chris Creas.
Chris Creas, yeah. There's a shout out, mate.
I think that's everyone. So shout out to all you guys. Can I just say, game of the round? I think everyone. I'm personally the most excited for this game. I think
Dragons of War.
They have a chance to redeem themselves after last year.
Okay. Well, isn't even redemption because half of these pricks weren't the ones that went and lost.
Doesn't matter. It's redemption.
All right. Clint Gutherson, captain and fullback. Fianai, Sully, Holmes, Tui Pilotu. I really hope Tui Pilotu scores. You know what you'll see? Carl Flanagan and Ilias. Toby Couchman, Damien Cook, Emre Gula, Big Luch, Sua.
Back to your point. Is Couchman, at least they have Damien Cook. Is that still better? Couchman, Gula, and Cook versus...
Cook's there. Because substitute Peter, it gets scary. Luch, Jaden Sua, Jack DeBellin.
The 800K man.
Jacob Little, Ryan Couchman, Fatala Mariner, one of your personal favourites, and Hamish Stewart.
Don't know who that is, but
that's your Dragons of War.
Brothers can tell
Moving
us.
on to Dogs. Connor Tracy, Blake Wilson, Bronson Jerry, Stephen, a.k.a. Bitcoin Crichton, Marcelo Montoya, Matty Burden, Toby Sexton, Max King, Reed Marnie, Sam Hughes, Viliami Kickout, Jacob Preston, Kurtman, Bailey Hayward, Sitili Tupanua, the Dalium Centre of the Year, Harry Hayes, and Jamin Salmon, a.k.a. Gus Gould's pet. And Sorrell's pet also.
Also, perfect spread for this game, 4.5.
4.5.
You can't get any better than this.
Shout out to Premium who are riding a Dragons ticket of plus 8.5 sent out multiple weeks ago before any preseason game where Dragons showed the world that they're possessed. Moving on, currently spread of 4.5. Christopher, are you riding into battle with your mighty Red V Dragons?
On one condition. The status of Matty Burden. Think There's been a lot of rumours. There's been a lot of talk. This is the latest I know about Matt Burton. So everyone on the podcast, tune in. Matt, you can also reiterate, but I think a lot of it's been kept under the wraps. Obviously, at the end of their last preseason match, seen in the sling, Gus said, nah, he's all good. Latest from inside the Dogs is that he is not ready for round one. Now, suggests that they've picked him, thinking he has to go through the captain's run and hope he'll get out there for the Dragons game. But if I'm the Dogs, look, even if he gets through the captain's run, is it worth risking him game one for Dragons? 100% no, if you have the aspirations that everyone thinks you guys are. Yeah, i.e. top 4, top 6, whatever. We have you guys in the top 6, but a lot of people have them in the top 4, which is ridiculous because they can't score. But I think a lot of my opinion hinges on that. If Burton doesn't play, you're already taking out Kiraz. You maybe make 30, 35 metres from your own forwards. You're going to make 20 metres off a kick because it's going to be, I don't even know, but probably Bailey Hayward because Hutchinson's not in the squad.
I miss him.
And Sexton. So maybe a 20, 30 metre kick. So maybe a combined per set 60 metres. Yeah, that's just not going to cut in the NRL. I don't care if you're playing Dragons, Titans, Knights, Warriors.
I might cut it against Knights.
Warriors, it doesn't matter. I think if that's the case, if Burton plays, I would take whatever the line is, I'd take unders. I think they're going to literally kill each other for no reason. And Dogs already can't score, and Dragons, they've had some great preseason form, but I know intrinsically they also can't score with those halves. So I would take unders, whatever the line is. Add a bit of weather to it. It could be 40, 41, whatever it is. I'm taking unders. I think these two teams are going to really fight and give us the battle that we should have got maybe 6 months ago.
So you're predicting a war out there
Yes, I
on
am.
Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
Look, at 8.5, which is what we sent out to premium, Dragons was clearly valued. The market's caught up. They are not the basket case that the market thought they were going into the season. The backline has a lot of strike. I see points in them in terms of their outside backs being able to win one-on-one matchups. It's not easy to contain Sully on one side and Holmes on the other side.
But they have Bitcoin out there.
I know, Bitcoin's there. And next to him is Kikau. And next to him, at this point, is Burton. And I believe if Burton laces them up, which seems that you have some doubts of whether he will or not, but I can't see Dogs running out Bailey Hayward in round one.
I can.
I'm doing this analysis based on I think
Burto.
Dogs are running out Burto, and he's all good. And based on that, I'm sorry, but 4's not enough with Dragons in my perspective.
So you're saying they're going to hit right on 6?
I think the correct spread would have been 6. The value on Dragons was at 8. And now the value that... Honestly, shout out to Sportsbet. These cunts are asleep. They've put Dogs 3.5. So from my perspective, if you can lay under a tribe for Dogs, they're better than Dragons at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you got to add in Burton's playing.
Yeah. Which I don't think the market's accounting for. Burton might be in or not. That's what I'm saying.
I think it might be.
I don't think it is.
Because why did it shift this morning from 5.5 to almost 3.5?
Well, it's kind of essentially been hovering at around 4 for days.
Yeah, but there was spots it was 5. So
I think it's based on Dragons perceiving to be gone and winning their preseason games by such a big margin.
I don't think there was anything. They won by a margin. We addressed South already. They were awful, and I don't think any shocks in the lineup per se. Because everyone knew Kiraz wasn't going to play. Dragons, everyone kind of knew their squad regardless. Maybe to a Piloto, who cares? It's the same garbage, right? It doesn't make a difference. So I actually think there is talk about Burton. And suspiciously quiet today. It wasn't a case of, oh yeah, Burton's in the lineup, we're ready to go. How many players did we hear about throughout, even before lineups? One example is Pappenhausen. If he gets through these things, he is ready for week 1 and he will be named. And he was named today. We haven't heard one peep about Burton. It just seems sus. And Para took the route, which is very different. We'll get to them. Not saying anything except for this guy hearing it in some local park game of a scrimmage that this guy's foot's hurting, and he automatically is taken out of the lineup. I just don't think when they're quiet like this, that's what makes me suspicious. I just don't think they should go out and say, okay, Burton's fit. Why haven't they said that?
And look, to cap the analysis off, I don't really like this matchup for Dragons.
No, matchup wise, I know that the Dragons are only good if it doesn't turn into a grind.
Yes.
But it will.
Dragons, I know that Shane Flanagan is losing sleep at night, trying to instill it in these guys that, boys, it's an 80-minute game. There's going to be ebbs and flows. I need you guys focused, concentrating. Because, what's he used to coaching? Paul Gallen, Luke Lewis, Andrew Fafita, Benny Barber, all these sort of players, right? And Michael Ennis at hooker. And it's no shock to me that he's been like, you know what? I need experience with these losers. Let me go get Damien Cook. I don't care how old he is. Let me go get Gutherson and Val. I don't care how old they are. But the nucleus of the middle of the park for Dragons, unfortunately, I just don't trust them in a team where Dogs were on a short list of teams, probably literally 2 teams last year. Because Melbourne, look, we know Melbourne can score 50 against anyone, but they don't give a fuck about, you know what, like we're going to grind and complete high and kick to corners and whatever. These cunts are playing backyard footy in their own 10-metre line. What are the 2 teams from last year that were like, we grind against anyone, we don't give a fuck? Penrith, obviously, because they're AI-generated robots, and Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And this same garbage matchup last year of when Dragons was 6.5 at home, and everyone was banging the drum for them. They were on a roll, and they were running into this Dogs team, and they were touted that if we can just win this one, we'll make the 8. They ran into a buzzsaw, and they got essentially thoroughly outplayed.
Yeah.
Thoroughly. And from my perspective, at a 4.5 spread, there's no reason for me to take Dragons. Even though I know they'll fire up, but
it's the same as last year if Burton plays.
I think Dogs have the personnel to defend their one-on-one players. You put Critter on Holmes and you put Jerry on Sully, they're probably one of the better teams equipped to deal with those 2. Gutherson, he's going to be busy, he's going to be everywhere, he's going to be safe, but he's at this stage of his career doesn't have the pace or whatever to get around that Dogs backline who are mobile and can shift around a lot. And on the other side, you got Preston on one side with Flanagan, and you have Ilias defending kick out. Like, it's pretty simple for what Dogs would need to do on the 10-metre line to get like a lot of pressure on the Dragons try line, which I'm not sure they're built. And
you don't know. Can they execute?
Are they prepared to?
Are they look?
Handle
last
that
year,
in round 1.
Last
I'm not
year
sure.
in that key game that you're discussing, that intercept try really changed a lot. I can't imagine what would have happened if Dragons scored first.
Yeah, well, the building was fucking.
So this is a different Dragons team. I'm not writing them off, but I think my big hinge is on Burton. Burton plays. I'm taking unders. Burton doesn't play. I think it's a simple Dragons bet, and don't even need to think about it.
Okay, moving on.
Dragons could be favourite if that happens. Honestly,
no way.
How
Burton's not worth 5 points.
Who replaces him? Yeah,
nah.
You can't start Bailey Hayward.
At best, you get to pick him, which then you can have the discussion of what's the right side.
Right.
But shout out to the Zerafos brothers. I'm like you, Chris. I'm very excited for this game. Probably the most intrigued of like which way will this one go. Well, I'm also intrigued for a different reason. 4 Pines Park, 7:35 p.m. sharp, baby. Tom Trebojevic, Jason Saab, Tolu Kola, Ruben Garrick, Lehigh Hopewadi, Brooks and Cherry Evans in the halves, Paseka, Jazz makes his debut at hooker, which is hilarious. Taukeaho Homoli, Ben Trebojevic, because of his last name is there. Jake Trebojevic, Jake Simpkin, Corey Waddell, Ethan Bullymore, and Toffa Sipley on the bench for Manly. Essentially running it back from last year.
It's not other than Taukeaho and Jazz.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
On the Cowboy side of things, Scott, Drinkwater, Braden Burns, Jackson Purdue, Vilea, Tealangi, Dearden, Thomas Duffy makes his debut at halfback because the Cliff is out injured. Jordan McLean, McIntyre, wow, that's bad. Reece Robson, who's ready to quit on these cunts and go play for Roosters next week. Johnny Bateman, Jeremiah Nanai, Ruben Cotter, Ruben Dubin, Carl Lawton, Harrison Edwards, Nemo, and Colin Hess coming off the bench, who is back officially. So for my first under duress of season 2025, I'll be going with the Manly Seagulls, laying -5.5 at 4 Pines Park. I feel bad for the Cowboys. They have been given a dud draw. It's not often that Manly get to play at home in week 1, and it is a fortress that any team can go to and catch an L and take that home with them. And the Cowboys, coming off their massive preseason win against the Melbourne Storm, are probably feeling themselves a little bit. The market, I think, is respecting them a bit too much based on that performance. But from my perspective, they do not have the horses to go and handle this Manly team at home, laying less than a converted try. Brooks, Turbo, and Cherry Evans pulling the strings against this Cowboys team, which I have massive question marks over their ability to consistently defend their own try line. And when the going gets tough in the middle, can they aim up for 80 minutes? I think not. I'll take the Manly Seagulls -5.5. Don't let me down, boys. I'm confident in this one. Let's urge.
Yeah, mate. There's nothing else to say. Look, I actually think, like, as of right now, round one lineup, Manly have the best 1 to 7.
Okay.
And you're playing Cowboys, who probably have a mid-tier, maybe lower tier 1 to 7 with Duffy. Look, I think, like, I know it looks right now, obviously Talau's not there. He scored a lot of tries from last year, but this backline is incredible. The Brooks has been fantastic going to Manly. Cherry Evans, we know what he's going to get out of him in a fit Turbo. Wow. Look, Cowboys, it's seriously, the draw has really bewildered you guys. I don't know. Like,
Who the fuck made this draw?
I wouldn't wish any team to go to Manly that day.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just going to be an absolute avalanche. And I feel like I've said a lot of favourites other than Tigers because I like them. But simply because, like, I just think this is a complete mismatch over the park. Like, that back line is not going to even stop anything coming at them. And Manly can put points on like that's nothing. Not that Cowboys can't, but the gaps that Cowboys have been giving up and what we've seen in preseason as well is just, you can't do that to Manly. And once Manly get on a roll, it seriously gets scary. Obviously, we're very high on Manly. I've got them in my top 4. I think they have a top 3 spine. I think it just continues. Obviously, wish Lockie Croker was there. Wish maybe Nathan Brown was there for a bit of a chuckle.
I like him.
But this Cowboys team is not fit to go play this team at all. They should just pack their bags and get ready for Townsville next week against their arch nemesis Cronulla Sharks. I just don't know. Duffy, first game as well. Like, it's just a terrible spot for him.
Well, he's gonna have fucking probably Hamoli running out.
Yeah, like,
God.
just like.
That's really bad.
Really bad. And, like, from the Todd Payton's end, I actually feel like he's done the right thing in certain scenarios. Like, Tamalolo wasn't named when you talked through there, and he has no injury, which just alludes the fact that, like, he's just not up to par with everyone else. And I'm glad he's not just going, oh, yeah, I have to put Tamalolo in. So, you know, shout out to Todd Payton. He's doing something right. But it doesn't mean the team's any good. And you're basically saying that an $800K or whatever Tamalolo is getting paid cap player can't even make the team. It just explains how bad they are.
Well, how bad he is.
How bad he is, yeah. And then, like, they're paying him. Like, so, like, who the fuck else
like,
they have?
He can't get fucking a 20-minute go off the bench over McIntyre? Or,
well, apparently not.
Or
like,
McLean
he's not there,
at 60 years old? Sure. Look, from my perspective, Cowboys, they're never really out of any game because of their ability to generate points out of their asshole. But I think even that is diminished a little bit because Val is not there. And Val, with the goal-kicking tee or on the left side next to Dearden and Taolangi, that was something without a doubt that I was always like, fuck's sake, like, sure, we're up 12 0
but
or
they can score.
Whatever, but it doesn't take long for these losers to get back in the game with just a hint of brilliance from Val and Taolangi, and they're through, right? But you take that out and you don't really replace it with anything. You take Jason's production out, you don't really replace it with anything. Luke is down. Their bench is questionable. They have a halfback that's, you know, like Townsend was no world beater, but I think he actually complemented Dearden quite well and allowed Dearden to take that ball running position within the halves a little bit more. And Chad was just relegated to just, all right, just steer the fucking troops around, kick into corners, and that's all you need to do.
Great.
And that's all he did, right? But now this Duffy guy is definitely not going to be able to control a game like Townsend is, especially in Brookvale. And this is priced as if, you know what, Manly is like a very good team and Cowboys are probably, average team in the NRL. But what's missing in this pricing is, look, whatever we want to say about Cowboys, if they're going to come last, they're going to come bottom 4, set that aside for a moment. Manly at home, full strength, is an elite NRL team. If Manly played 24 games all at home, they would also be 18-6, fucking 19-5.
They beat the whole top 4 last year.
Legit, last year, Melbourne went there and lost, Penrith went there and lost, and I think Sharks got absolutely slaughtered as well. So Manly on their day, and there's variance in them throughout the season. When Turbo's not there, obviously they take a big hit. Cherry Evans, will he be there come halfway through the year, or will his body eventually break down on him at age 35 or whatever he is? We'll have to wait and see, but there's no better time to get on the Sea Eagles, and you're not even really having to lay the maximum amount of points that you would otherwise need to lay, which, in my opinion, if this was 8.5, I'd be like, oh, okay, then it's probably priced right. But they actually opened this at 3. Now there's been some movement. We've sent out 4.5. Actually, no, I sent out 3.5. Now you're seeing 6.5 in some spots, getting to a point where, all right, like, Manly starting to get a bit of respect, but I really don't see how Cowboys keep up with these guys in really any phase of the game. Kicking game, you give it to Cherry Evans. Backline, it's night and day completely. Spine play, sure, Dearden and Drinkwater and Robson can hang with the best of them, but there's no slouches on the other side with Turbo and Cherry Evans and Brooksy. And the benches are pretty comparable. The forward packs, look, you got Cotter and Nanai on one side, you got Homoli and Jake Trbojevic on the other. The front rowers, I would take the Manly ones. Home field, it's a fortress in Manly. I don't even know, like, if anyone disagrees and you would take Cowboys +6, tell me, like, what you're seeing that I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
There's no, like, argument in my
Don't worry,
mind.
Braden Burns is going to catch the really fast wingers. I can't imagine him trying to catch anyone in this fucking back line.
Fantastic. And
they literally have a sprint team.
Honestly, I was actually very impressed with what Cowboys dished out against Melbourne in that trial, but it's just a different beast, bro. Like, I really, like, I take my under the rest very seriously, and I didn't even have to think hard this week. I was like, you know what? I'm taking Manly, and I feel good about that. So Manly -5.5. Don't fuck me over. I don't want to be 0-1. That really would annoy me. All now, right. Moving on to the comical.
Well, the biggest shifter of them all. We talked about all these lines, but obviously we spared at the start. No Mitch Moses for Parramatta, but you want to go through the lineup.
Well, I want to give Seabass a quick shout out.
Obviously, Seabass, yeah.
But Seabass, I'm
he
sorry,
was truly
man.
depressed.
God, this is really bad. All right, Melbourne conveniently running out. Pappenhausen, Warbrick, Howarth, Meaney, Coates, Munster Hughes, Stefano, Harry Grant, Josh King, Sean Blaw, Eli Katoa, Trent Hero, Wishart, who's just there, if Bellamy gets bored, Wishart, you go out there and score 5 tries. McDonald, Kamakamika, and Lazarus. Valepu. On the Eels side of things, we've got Iongai making his official NRL, not debut, but his Parramatta Eels debut at fullback. Sean Russell, Penasini, Lomax, Jake Tungo, Dillbags, Ronald Volkman, Joe Offengowie. Come on, Riles. What are you doing, mate? Brendan Hands, Junior Polo, with the captaincy around his armband, which is good for him. Jack Williams, Tuolungi, Hopgood, Riley Smith, Matty Dury, Ryan Madison, and Charlie Geimer. So, essentially, Parra have been given a death warrant going to Melbourne in round 1, with Melbourne now going for their 24th straight round 1 victory, which I don't think is a record you'll see ever broken in any sport of a top tier. Wow. I was born 24 years ago, and these cunts haven't lost the game. So that's insane in my eyes. But we've seen a spread, and shout out to Premium, on -9.5 with the Storm, all the way out to -17.5 now. Apparently, Mitch Moses is God in sneakers that he's worth 8 points. But I think a little bit of this is also Pappenhausen getting named, along with Hughes and a few other players that had some injury cloud doubts.
They had doubts?
Yeah, well, there's doubts now about Parra fucking making it past halftime. But Chris, I guess, talk to me. This is the shortest price favourite of the round. Do they deserve to be? Is there any hope for the Eels?
All right, lads. Close your eyes. Wait till it gets to 18 on Sunday and take 18.
Minus or plus?
Minus. No, plus, I meant. Plus. Look. Why would Melbourne even give a fuck? We say, look, people will come on the podcast. Bro, this is a professional. Listen, first of all, half these teams, if they gave 110% all the time, these spreads would be like so different. You wouldn't even everyone would be 20.5 against Penrith and Melbourne. Let's just say facts. There's reasons why we're here doing what we do, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't exist. They literally just take the favourite every time and they'd kill them. That's why we're here. Second of all, Melbourne don't care. First of all, they're going to try weird shit now. Knowing that Moses is out, they know Moses is out. They're just going to... This is literally a trial for them. It actually sounds insane. It's literally a trial. Because whatever they fuck up, Bellamy has 2 weeks to kill them, and then they come back and beat Penrith.
In round 3, yeah.
And the bye has actually helped Para in this scenario. If this was round one, Melbourne starting their season, we're going to throw everything at the wall. Literally, they would lose 150 mil. But you are conveniently, in my opinion, saved by the bye. Because the bye says to me, look, what Bellamy sat there and gone, okay, if we lose week one, everyone's going to raise some question marks, but I have another week to fix it. So let's treat this like as pre-season as possible. Let's get the boys fit. Let's get the boys in match fitness. Obviously, we know how talented they are, so they could blow this out of the water and just destroy Parramatta. But I don't think that's going to happen. If you are scared of the 18, you could also take the Melbourne and then take a higher spread than 18. But look, don't even think about that. I think 18, 3 tries is going to be enough. Melbourne, they're obviously way better than this Parramatta team. No Moses, but Para have a lot to prove. And I think Riles, as much as he knows his boys are going to go there and try and win, he knows in his heart that they can't win. And he's just going to be like, just show us a good performance. And that would indicate to himself and all the Para fans, look, this Para team isn't last year's team. They went there and showed effort and lost by 10. That's what I'm going to say.
I'm very conflicted here, sir.
Do you want to lay 17?
Because I saw the tweet that Mitch... Well, it wasn't even a tweet. At 3:58 p.m.
They were like, yeah, he's not there.
I looked at the team list and I saw Volkman in, and I scrolled down to the extended bench and thought, is Riles being tricky? No, he's not being tricky. He's being very honest and conducting himself as a moral coach. And he's thinking about the punters. You know, he's told us that Mitch Moses is not ready to play and Volkman's going to be wearing the 7 jersey. Now I was like, all right, let me jump on 9.5. This will probably get to like 12 or something at 13, and yeah, 14. I'll have 3-4 points of closing line value in my pocket.
And then I got to 15.
Then I got to 14. And then I got to 15. And then I refreshed and I got to 16. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe like someone's bought back and this is back at 15, right? No, it's now at 17. And come game day, it's going to be 18.
Of course.
So I don't know if you can fucking elaborate on this, but I've been punting on footy for 8 years. I've never seen a spread bigger than 3 converted tries in the first week
Dolphins.
of the sport.
We took it.
Oh, yeah, true.
They won outright.
So we have one example to go off in at least the last 5 years of a 20-plus point underdog.
20 points at home.
Which was the Dolphins in their inaugural match against the Roosters. Shout out to you, Bunzi, where you guys went and got raped by Dolphins, and they won for Wayne, and they won the comp, actually. That day, the Back Yourself famously was on Dolphins head-to-head, and we still live to tell that tale. Will I be on Para head-to-head? Fuck no. There's no price you can give me Eels head-to-head that I would take.
50.
$50?
50 to 1.
I would rather throw $50 into the toilet and flush
100.
it. It might come back up.
100.
I'll take it. Because in Melbourne, like in true... No, I wouldn't take 100. These guys will never
150.
win. No, if it was round 2, sure. In round 1, they're not going to go out there and lose. But everyone knows that because they're $1.10, right? If you want to chuck them into your multis or whatever, sure, go for it.
You're not cool.
You're not like some genius for doing it. But if you want extra little odds boost, you want to risk it all on Melbourne head-to-head at $1.10, go for it. Would I lay 18.5, 17.5? No. I don't think Melbourne will be the well-oiled machine that they conveniently will be when they come back in round 3 and rape Penrith. I actually have a suspicion that Melbourne will have a bit of a tendency of making a lot of errors.
Oh, yeah, they're just going to throw the footy around.
And not really taking their opposition super-duper seriously because they look across, they see Volkman and Nyonga and all these no-name players. Can Para score with Pennicini and Lomax and Dillbags and Hopgood and Paulo and a bit of second face play in the middle of the park? I think they can.
So you're indicating overs.
They could get to like 12 or 14. Can they prevent Melbourne from getting to 36 or 34 or some garbage? I would hope so. For
Melbourne could prevent themselves from doing that.
Maybe, yeah. Like a couple errors. I don't really see Para just going and rolling over in week 1. And if anything, there would be a bit of wounded tiger theory in this of we are not just Mitch Moses or bust and we can go and lose respectably by 10 or 12 or some garbage. Melbourne will never go out of second gear and they'll just win this game by 10 and everyone will be happy except for the ones on Melbourne 13 plus. So I would, for those on premium on -9, I would wait, and if I get a plus 18.5, I'd play both sides and try and middle this because I could definitely see Melbourne winning by 10, 12, 14, 16, 18.
That's
a lot of potential.
That's a lot of
winning margins that you could get a win on both sides. So yeah,
I think that's the play.
I think it will be paradise for week 1 where they go and lose by 14.
Yeah, and look, if you're scared of the spread, it's too much. You rather take Melbourne $1.10. I think I'm convinced with overs on this one. Like,
I think Para will also go there and be like, you know what?
We'll throw the footy around.
around. Because Riles is going to drill into them boys. We're going to have to defend. And 10 minutes into the game, it's going to be 12-0 anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, fuck this, let's throw the footy around.
Yeah,
so
I can see that happening.
I don't know what the total is. It's a 4 p.m. game in Melbourne on a Sunday
50.
afternoon. It should be 50.
Yeah.
Honestly, it should be 50 because Melbourne will give Para a couple tries. I'm not worried about that. But I guess the question comes in as far as the spread goes of what can Para restrict Melbourne to? And that's what you're going to really ask yourself when you're playing a side.
They're a really
in this
good
game.
defensive team.
Yeah, I guess that's our preview for round 1. You boys can let us know in the comments if you agree with most of our takes. I feel like we're not super duper sold on some of the sides, but that's what round 1's for, gathering information on these teams. Tigers, come on, don't let my boy down, get us a win. Manly of War, cover 5.5 and put Cowboys, end them in 1 week into the season.
And South.
What would you say you're most eager for or intrigued by in round 1?
Dragons Dogs, for sure.
Dragons Dogs.
What
are you looking for particularly in that fixture?
Well, look, Burton plays, Dragons show a fight and actually try. Burton doesn't play, I expect Dragons to win that game. There's no reason to lose the Dogs team without Burton.
What will you think of Dragons if they lose without Burton?
Yeah, that's when
that will concern you.
That will concern me big time.
Okay.
I would think this is such preseason hype. And then the Thursday game is fairly intriguing, just to see have Roosters just going to give up or they don't give up and Broncos are just going to blitz them and just destroy them. I don't know, but I'm leaning kind of in the middle. It's going to be a bit of both.
I would say on my end, most intrigued game is the Dolphins-Souths one. Will Souths go out there and mail it in on Wayne? If there's a game that theoretically they shouldn't mail it in and they should fight tooth and nail for him, it's this one. Mm-hmm. And you can say what you want about the Souths talent. I know they will respond in terms of playing for Wayne and knowing what this would mean to him. On the other end, the Dolphins boys, I don't think there's been an outlet, a podcast, anyone in the world. The only other prick I saw that actually had them in there, it was Gus Gould. So he's considered a savant of the game, which we'll see how that works out for me and you. But I think we've been higher on them than pretty much anyone else out there.
Don't know why.
And I truly believe that they will go and put South to the sword. So let's go and see that one. And we'll see you guys come to review. Hopefully our results are better than they were in Vegas. And we'll check in with you boys come Sunday evening every week for the rest of the season. Appreciate the support, guys. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. And we'll chat to you later.
Peace
out.